access to his anxiety and sense of guilt, we can, to a great extent, dispense with verbal associations. But this technique is not restricted to an analysis of the child's play. Our material can be derived, as it has to be in the case of children, inhibited in play from the symbolism revealed in details of his general behavior. But in Dick's symbolism had not developed. But in Dick's symbolism had not developed. This was partly because of the lack of any effective relation to the things around him, to which he was almost entirely indifferent. He had practically no special relations with particular objects, such as we usually find in even severely inhibited children, since no effective or symbolic relation to them existed in his mind. Any chance actions of his in relation to them were not colored by fantasy, and it was thus impossible to regard them as having the character of symbolic representations. His lack of interest in his environment and the difficulty of making contact with his mind were, as I could perceive from certain points in which his behavior differed from that of other children, only the effect of his lack of a symbolic relation to things. The analysis, then, had to begin with this, the fundamental obstacle to establish contact with him. The first time Dick came to me, as I said before, he manifested no sort of affect when his nurse handed him over to me. When I showed him the toys I had put ready, he looked at them without the faintest interest. I took a big train and put it beside a smaller one and called them Daddy Train and Dick Train. Thereupon he picked up the train I called Dick and made it roll to the window and said station. I explained, the station is Mummy. Dick is going into Mummy. He left the train, ran into the space between the outer and inner doors of the room, shut himself in, saying dark, and ran out again directly. He went through this performance several times. I explained to him, it is dark inside Mummy. Dick is inside dark Mummy. Meantime, he picked up the train again, but soon ran back into the space between the doors. While I was saying that he was going into dark Mummy, he said twice in a questioning way, Nurse? I answered, Nurse is soon coming. And thus he repeated and used the words later quite correctly, retaining them in his mind. The next time he came, he behaved in just the same way, but this time he ran right out of the room into the dark entrance hall. He put Dick train there too and insisted on its staying there. He kept